Today I'm going to do something in my kitchen that I've never seen done before, and let me just tell you, it turned out way better than I could have ever expected. My name is John. Welcome to my money pit. I'm in the middle of remodeling my kitchen in my 1800s farmhouse. I'm doing it entirely by myself and on a pretty tight budget. In previous videos, I've done the demo, which wasn't all that eventful.
That's a huge bitch!
Built some new cabinets to fit the space, and then got to work on building all of the new cabinet doors and drawer fronts. I'm going to be putting out a video on how I built the doors very soon. It's just that I have like 40 hours of footage of it, so I haven't gotten the video done yet. But while all that was going on, I had a few things I could work on that could tide me over while the doors were getting done, including moving this ridiculous return duct that was installed directly over my stove, basically making it a very expensive exhaust fan that blows everything around the house rather than outside. That'll be next week's video, and trust me when I tell you, it's a simple project, but while doing it, it uncovered something that absolutely blew my mind. And I think it'll blow yours too, so stay tuned for that. But today I wanted to address something that could have a massive impact on the overall appearance of this kitchen, and that's installing some type of molding on top of the cabinets. Now here's the thing. You might think, well, that's an easy problem to solve. Just go get some 3 1/4 inch crown molding and call it a day. It'll look great, and you're not wrong. Crown molding's amazing, and it would have an insane impact, but there's a problem. I hate crown molding on cabinets. Now let me rephrase that. I hate crown molding on these cabinets. You see, this is an old house that doesn't really have any ornate moldings to speak of. The house is very minimalistic overall, which my wife and I very much love. Neither of us are into super ornate or intricate moldings in the house. It's definitely beautiful and it has its place, just not in this house. I wanted to put something on top of these cabinets that would complement the room without looking completely out of place from the rest of the house. I've been a huge fan of shaker style furniture since I saw an episode of the New Yankee Workshop where Norm visited a shaker village somewhere in New England. I started searching online for some inspiration and I came across this and I said, that's it. That's exactly what I want to try to replicate. Then I just had to think about how to do it. It's not overly complicated, but also not the easiest thing in the world to reproduce. I spent quite a while trying to come up with a strategy to do this, but then it happened. One evening while I was executing my normal bedtime routine, I was sitting there thinking about this molding, and I saw it right there in front of me. When I say I saw it in front of me, I'm talking about the door casing on my bathroom door. I was looking at it, turned my head to the side like a dog that heard a high-pitched sound, and I said, that's it. That's the look I'm after. Problem solved. Except where do I find this molding? Finding this molding, well, it wasn't difficult at all. In fact, it was at the first place I looked. It was at Lowe's. So I'm remodeling a kitchen that was done in the early 1900s, and I'm putting door casing on top of the cabinets instead of crown molding. Not exactly reinventing the wheel or curing cancer, but hey, it's a pretty bold move. I think so anyway. Once I had the molding, I started off this project on the easiest section of the kitchen, which would be the 2 new cabinets I built. I had to start off by adding a nailer to the top of the cabinet, which in this case was some leftover MDF. I cut all the pieces to size, got it all glued and nailed in, and well... Uh-oh. Yeah, I did it wrong. I did it wrong. I can't believe I did that. Can you come hold this up? Where it starts to round over like this should be lined up with this. And right now it's a 1/2 inch back. Or a 1/4 inch back.
Oh, you mean that come out more up top? That come out.
Yeah, I have to redo it. I can't have it like this.
I don't know this stuff, but I guess that's because I'm.
Yeah, I have to. All right, I'm gonna take some scraps here, including a scrap drawer front that I made the wrong size. 1 out of 43 is not bad, I guess. This piece here, it's just a shelf and then a scrap piece of trim. I'm gonna try to demonstrate what was going on and why I had to redo that trim. So what I did when I first installed it, before I realized it was a problem, if we pretend that this is the face frame, I installed this trim flat or flush with the face frame. And so what ends up happening is when you put a door on it, it buries this bottom piece of trim. Now, it doesn't bury it on your view right now because you're looking at it from the side, but if you can imagine being on the floor looking up, you would not barely see this round over here. And without that, it kind of defeats the purpose. You don't really get to see this bottom round over. So what I ended up needing to do was pull this out. I didn't need to do this, but I chose to do it. Pull the trim out so that the bottom of the door doesn't cover up that round over. Now it stands proud of the door and it looks a lot better. It looks more like this than this. Now it's a very subtle thing. It's a little thing that may not have bothered you, but boy, it would have bothered me. So that's why it was worth it to me to rip that trim down and redo it. Thankfully, I only did it on that one cabinet. I didn't have to redo everything. Spoiler alert, this is what it looks like when it's done. So I had to tear it down and start it all over again and move it out about a ½ an inch to correct something that probably no one would ever see. But I would, and I'm the one walking through this room 50 times a day. Now back to how I did it. Again, I added a nailer to the top of the cabinets, and this time I used scrap 3/4 inch plywood just because, well, that's what I had. I used the plywood to create a slight overhang and correct that problem from earlier, and once that was in place, it's just a matter of cutting everything to size and nailing it on. Moving on to the main area of the kitchen, it was the same thing, but only 2 complications. One is the corner cabinet at a 45°, which nobody likes cutting all those angles, and the other is this huge gap. This is another one of those, what the hell was he thinking kind of things, but I don't want to dwell on that too much out of respect for those who have left us. I already live in a house that's almost 200 years old that I know for a fact multiple people have died in. I don't need any more bad juju. For some very respectful, and I'm not making fun of him at all, reason, instead of installing a filler in this space, the original cabinet installer put the filler behind the face frame, leaving this huge gap. When I pulled that filler out that I'm absolutely not making fun of, I realized why it was done this way. The cabinet was what we say in the South, all cattywampus, which means crooked for regular people. I dicked around with this corner cabinet for what felt like 2 hours and finally got it straight. Enough. And cut the original filler to size and screwed everything back together. Then I could finally do the trim. Now let me tell you a little something about me. I don't have any video footage of this, but if you notice, there's a joint in this trim right above the refrigerator. Well, I installed the rest of it and ran it all the way to the wall like it should be. And once it was installed, I took a step back and looked at it and thought, man, that looks good. But as I looked at it more and more over the course of the next 24 hours, I started to notice something that, well, drove me crazy. That little piece, which is only about 30 inches, was crooked. No, not cattywampus, crooked. Just barely. I asked my wife about it because she's got a pretty picky eye too, and she said, I don't see it. Looks fine to me. But I knew it was there. I put a level on it, and it was level. Well, as level as anything in this house is, and I even put a tape measure on it and found that it was, and I'm not kidding you here, 1/8 of an inch off. I had this trim glued. I put a small block behind the joint for extra support and glued the hell out of that too. I already had it all caulked in and ready to paint, but I had to fix it. My wife thought I was totally crazy when she came in the kitchen at 11 o'clock at night in her jammies ready for bed, and I was up on a ladder getting this thing straight. Here's the thing. I'm not willing to compromise. Again, I'm the one that has to look at this every day, and this is one of those things that would have immediately drawn my eye every time I walk into the room. If you ever take any advice from me, please take this. Don't screw yourself. This is your project. If there's something about it that's going to bother you and be a constant reminder that you got lazy and cut corners, fix it. The extra time you spend fixing this issue will be something that'll save you a ton of heartache and shame down the road. I'm not perfect. This kitchen has a ton of flaws, but if it's something that's within my control, you can be damn sure I'm going to do it right. Well, at least I'm going to try. Once again, as far as trim installs go, this was a super easy one and would be a great project for someone who's never done moldings before. Simple outside miters, glue, and nails. That's all it takes. For nails, I used my 23 gauge nailer because the holes left behind are super tiny, but I still filled them and sanded them just to make them go away entirely. Little caulk, and yeah, it's pronounced caulk, not caulk. No one likes a person that pronounces it caulk. It's kind of like somebody that pronounces it exactly. Come on, what's wrong with you people? Anyway, a little bit of caulk and it was ready for paint. I used Sherwin-Williams Emerald paint for 3 reasons. A, it's the same paint I used on the doors, so duh. 2, Sherwin-Williams Emerald paint is the best paint in the world, and I'll say it to your face. And D, I get a ridiculously good discount at Sherwin-Williams because I know a guy, so yeah, it's the best. Here is the final result. Here's what it looks like to put door casing on top of cabinets. I gotta tell you, it turned out way better than I expected. It's completely transformed this kitchen and taken very basic, simple cabinets and turned them into something substantial. And honestly, it makes them look like those super high-end expensive cabinets you see in magazines. Thank you so much for sticking with me on this one. I know this video was super rambly and could have been like 3 minutes long, but hey, I like to go into detail on stuff, and I think putting door casing on cabinets in a historic house is a pretty big deal. Let me know what you think. Bye.